Hey traders, happy Friday and happy excuse me, happy October 1st. Hopefully guys everyone can hear me okay and see my screen. But as always, thank you for joining me this morning for some good old morning prep. Let's dive right in guys, waste no time, and let's finish this week strong because the market's at a very pivotal point, and today is going to be a pretty critical day to start off the Q4. So, as always guys, let's waste no time and let's get right to work here. So, as always, I want to start on the overall market, good old ES. If you guys have been following me this year or, whenever you might have been following me, you probably heard the pitch about the daily cloud, where all year this has been an amazing indicator that just very simply has kept us in a very bullish trend, very clearly. Every time this year we get near this indicator, whether it's a dip buy, a sell off on bad news, the bulls pick it up. Right? Long story short, guys, they pick it up in January, they pick it up again. These bulls are strong. And however, for the first time this entire year, of course, we wait till October, spooky season. We got our first close, guys, yesterday under this daily cloud. It's been a very volatile, past 2 weeks, as I'm sure, we've all noticed and felt. We had that really, kind of roll off the top. We went sideways for a little bit, and then we dumped last week, ending right at that cloud, right? Pretty much as close as you can get to not breaking through it. We got the little cover pop into the week, right back to where we started, put in a lower high, and then we flushed here. We got stuck inside of the cloud once, got stuck inside the cloud twice, and then dumped through it yesterday. Getting bloody here, my friends. However, we're at some very major key levels where the market's really going to have to make a decision. So not to speculate too hard, guys, but just personally, really going to trust and follow this indicator where it is just an indicator. So it doesn't mean it's, 100% accurate. What I mean by that, guys, is if we truly do stay under this daily cloud, the market is probably screwed to the downside. Because again, guys, just following things that have worked all year, it hasn't spent a second on the other side of this cloud. And now it is. So it's going to be a bit interesting. But today, guys, we've been down quite a bit here, a handful of days, very small green days, huge selling. And we are finally seeing the market doing a little bit of covering pop here today. So if we take a look, guys, at just some basic zones, really want to focus on this 4,300 range, which is pretty much that accelerator to the downside. We dropped right to it yesterday, popped into our future session, and then we got the good old dump right through it, starting to look bloody. If you guys take a look, have a zone down here at about 4260-ish, which on the daily chart is just zoning back to this big key level here. Where we pretty much topped out, dropped, and then bursted through it, dropped to it again, and held it. So really good support right here. And that's exactly where we're trying to bounce this morning. So between the daily cloud and between these two key levels, this is really what matters, guys, moving forward. So again, we're down today. Well, we're heading down into today. And right now, the futures are popping back green, which is really impressive. Two ways to approach this, guys. One is we could see a strong day, and a strong cover pop. Every time we go down hard, we go up just as hard because of cover pops. So I really want to watch, guys, if the market continues to hold 4,300. Again, I'm using 42.93. You can use 4,300 if you'd like, but I'm going to use the exact level. As long as we're above this key level today, the market's most likely going to either go sideways or continue to, maybe see a good cover pop right back up towards, again, basic levels here, guys, where we flushed from yesterday. We kind of stopped there Tuesday, chopped, dumped through it yesterday, rejected it, and then flushed. So again, guys, overall, I think the market's in a little bit of vulnerable territory, but day by day, it can slowly start to prove itself. If for some reason we do pop here, and end the day green, just remember, guys, we're not quite out of the mud yet. In my opinion, until the market can get back through this little downside trend line, get back on the other side of the cloud, and get back to that prior consolidation, we're not 100% safe from a sell-off. So really, guys, see how today goes. Today's going to be huge. If we end up going negative again, right, so if we get this all back and start to bleed, we're most likely going to start to crumble into the weekend. Or again, if we can just continue to hold up, we could see a good pop here today. But again, the pop is just a pop until it can get through all of this. Where if we do pop here into, the end of week, I'll probably looking to short it into next week, unless it can prove me wrong. But these are levels, guys, that matter, in my opinion. So obviously it's Friday, and we want to play SPX 0 days. So let's talk about a few option contracts that we can focus on. And we can build a little option list together here while we prep this morning. So if I just pull up SPX, guys, let's see, October 1st. Let's just put that to the side so we can kind of lay out some targets here. So again, I think, for a big day, we'll probably work our way back up towards, either the top of this range from where we consolidate all week. So call it, 4,400, 4,380-ish. So if we look at some calls here this morning, obviously very expensive, and these are going to change a little bit come open. But again, I want to focus on that 4,380 type range. So let's see. 4380s, 4370s. Right now, guys, anything in this, $1 to $3 range is something I'd like to consider. With SPX, guys, you're always going to be changing your strikes because as the day goes on, things get cheaper. So you can move up the chain a bit. But just a rule of thumb, no matter if it's, the first hour of the day or, middle of the day, I like to try to trade SPX contracts in the, $1 to $3, $4 range. So just apply that kind of knowledge here, guys, where, again, if we reach this 4340 and start to bleed, it could be a good possible short. At that point, I'll be looking at some puts in this vicinity, getting us right back down towards 4,300, 4,280, 4,260, right in this range. And again, if we continue to pop, we can look for something. Always kind of hard, guys, to pick strikes before open, but anywhere from 4350 to that 4370 type mark. Let's move on a little bit. One thing I do want to talk about, guys, is VIX. So VIX has been an awesome compass as of recently, and I'm really dialing into some big levels here, 25 and just call it 29, 20 and 18. These have really told the story as of recent, where whenever we start to get above 18, the market starts to get a little bit vulnerable. We held it all week last week. We ripped through it, and that's when the market sold off into the weekend. We got right above 25 on Monday. We ripped to 29, and the market finally put in its little bottom. We put in the bottom. We go back below 25, and we keep going. And then we get eventually below 20, and we hold 18. To start this week, we held 18, and then we gapped above 20. And we ran, guys, right to our biggest level, or our next biggest level, 25. And we've just kind of been consolidating in between, not really kind of, making a decision here. So really want to pay attention, guys, to VIX. Been saying it a lot this week, but if we break through 25, the market's going to roll over nicely. Right now, it's getting defended. We only got through it once on that drop last Monday to that daily cloud. And we've been kind of, trying to keep VIX under 25. We gapped up to it this morning, and we're fading off of it. So as long as VIX, guys, stays below 25, the market does have a chance to bottom. But also, as long as VIX is above 20, all of those pops just become shortable, right? Just like yesterday. We kind of open up here, but VIX is still above 20, so you short the crap out of it. We get a little bit of a pop. VIX is, still way above 20. You short the crap out of it. So again, want to see what VIX does today, guys. If it can continue to dive towards 20, we're getting a nice little pop for the market. But remember, if VIX gets near 20 and stops, make sure you be patient and see if the market might roll over again. Where VIX does actually break 20 and head to 18, we get a little more wiggle room, and we are going to continue higher. But remember, guys, just like the last pop, right back to that consolidation that started the drop. That's all this was. And then we got right back to flushing. And then vice versa. If we do get through 25 on VIX, we're going to scream, and we can go see this big 29 level. And for some reason, guys, we do get through 29, 32 is next. And most likely the market will be dumping really, really hard. But keep watching VIX because it's been a really nice compass to kind of keep on the right side of things. Where again, if we break 25 today, market's going to scream. But if we stay below 25 and start to migrate towards 20, the market's going to be going the other direction. I love VIX. It's a beautiful inverse to watch. But that being said, guys, I'm going to lay out a few setups here. It is Friday, it is volatility, markets in play. So I do recommend SPX kind of being your main focus. If you're used to trading it, it's definitely going to be my main focus. But there are a few other names I want to keep an eye on. And one of them is Google. So I've had to be very patient with Google this week. It's starting to break down a little bit for the first time all year. It is below the 50-day simple, this little purple line up here. I can clear this chart up so you guys can see a little bit better. Right? We hold it, we hold it, we hold it, and we don't hold it. We take a look, we drop below the 50, we get right to the daily cloud, which is another indicator that's been held all year for Google. Beginning of the year, middle of the year, and now we're at it again. So obviously, guys, want to be patient, but if tech continues and the market continues green and doesn't go negative, we should see some good pops here across the board. Again, maybe we chop, but if we do rip hard, and especially see some short covering, we'd love to see Google kind of get off of this key zone. Take a look at this drawing set. Get back to the real one. We have this daily cloud top zone, guys, that we fell to on Wednesday. We've kind of been continuing to hold it here. Can't really get through it. And now we're back into it. We got the little tick down to it this morning, but we were right back. So again, I just want to see if we can continue to hold this key level and pop back up towards 2710 and then maybe 2730, just to give you something to look at. But check out Google here. All right. For strikes, guys, again, they're obviously going to look a little bit different here when they open price-wise, just because it's Friday and these expire. But again, want to target, that 2700, 2710 range, 2720. So again, guys, really got to see what these look like at open. But anywhere from 2700 to 2720 is a strike that I'll be looking to buy the dip on for Google. Google likes to move on Fridays. It's at a big key level. It's continuing to hold. Market starting to bottom. Again, it might struggle here, but if it does show signs of strength, guys, I'll look for that pop back up and just look to take, quick little day trades, nothing crazy here, keeping it tight. And vice versa. If for some reason the market does roll back over today, if Google breaks below this 2670, they get a pretty ugly drop ahead of them. And I'm starting to actually look for a drop towards 2600. So you guys can keep an eye on some puts as well. Again, I think the 2600s might be a far shot, especially if we don't go lower. But if we do go lower, they could get you paid. But the 2600s, 2630s, 2620s, all that to the downside can be something to keep an eye on. And another setup here, guys, is NVIDIA. Really want to keep a close eye on this one because, they look like they're going to give opportunity on both sides. One reason, guys, is they look like they're about to fire a downside daily squeeze. They kind of gapped out with the market, got that little pop back up, and it's just been straight bleeding here. It had some good news yesterday, but didn't really do anything. Closed at the lows. Actually, no. Closed kind of in the middle. So not only do we have a daily squeeze, guys, that's technically firing, we also have a daily cloud in play. So not only is this huge support, it can also be a huge pivot point to the downside, meaning if it holds the cloud, it can rip. If it breaks the cloud, it can dump and fire that squeeze. So I want to be ready for both. But take a look, guys. We got a nice little beautiful, call it wedge, little downtrend forming here. We haven't quite put in the same lows, but we are kind of putting in a nice little wedge here, which technically should be a little breakout pattern. So again, I have no bias. I want to keep an eye on NVIDIA on both sides, where if it can start to pop today, break through this little wedge, get through this little 210, they could have a nice pop up towards 214. They have an ATR of about $6-7, call it. So that's literally about $6 away. So 214 would be the target for today. And again, maybe it pulls back it open, rips through that wedge, and gives you a nice pop. Maybe, guys, it continues to reject this little downside wedge, and the market starts to flush. Right? NVIDIA's kind of set to open green here. So if the market starts to roll over, this could be a really good possible short. And at that point, I'll be looking for a drop down towards 200. Again, with that daily squeeze trying to fire here. So if we look at options on NVIDIA, let's see, to the upside, guys, going to focus on the 210s, especially if we take a little bit of a dip here and then rip. I like that. Through this wedge, the 210s will get you paid pretty quickly. So keep out of 210s, and I wouldn't go too far, guys. It's Friday, so, 210s, 212.5s, all kind of right at the money. You can even consider in the monies. I like OTM. And And then to the downside here, again, if we do fail at this zone, personally, guys, want to keep an eye on the 205s and 202 and a halves. 200s are nice, but I just think they're too cheap for a Friday. Right? They're going to be 10, 20 cents. They'd be hard to make money on. But the 202 and a halves, the 205s, if we do start to fail here, those are strikes that are going to get you in the money. Not bad. So again, guys, the video's got a daily squeeze trying to fire down, but also has a daily cloud that's trying to hold. So let's see who wins. The cloud can pop back up, or we can fade right back down through it with the daily squeeze firing. I really like this setup on NVIDIA. Then let's see, guys, probably one more setup here I'll share, and that's going to be Square. If we take a look at Square this week, they fall to some pretty serious levels, aka the 200-day simple moving average. Anytime, guys, a stock or index, falls near it, they can take a little bit of time to, find their feet, quote unquote. And again, once they hold it, they start to get accumulated. So Square fell this week below the 200, and they just couldn't quite, get a feel for it the first day. Yesterday, had some really good relative strength where they actually held up all day when the market went lower. And as soon as the market went higher, Square ripped through that 200. And then they pulled back and closed at it. Overnight, guys, they gapped down. However, they were actually one of the first names, when I was up this morning looking at charts, they were one of the first names to start going green before the market. And NVIDIA was actually one of those names as well. Kind of was getting up towards flat before the market had, popped and made this turnaround. So again, just some relative strength here on a few names trying to hold up the ship. So all in all, guys, I want to be patient on Square because they can take time around the 200. But if we do see a big pop today, this is one that could get some love. Ideally, guys, would like to play it off a 240. So again, in the market's opening green, might take a little bit of a dip and then rip. Really has to prove itself. Where if that does happen and Square can get to 240, I love a dip buy at this 200-day simple, assuming it holds it. Right, guys, if it breaks right through it, let it go. But if it can pull back, hold it, and base and give you an entry, could be a decent trade. Looking at a few key levels here, guys, we got yesterday's HOD and pretty much pre-market HOD as of now as a big resistance near this just call it 244-ish range. So if we do get that 240 bounce, going to look for that play back up to 243-ish. And if we get through there, going to look for continuation up towards the top of this little range. Very simple, guys, supply and demand trading. Not many huge key levels in play at the moment, but we got to deal with what's in front of us. So again, can we get a little dip? Can we get a little rip? And then manage the rest to there. If it starts to go lower, I'm just going to let it go lower. It's a name that's already down so much where there's just better names to attack as if the market rolls over. Like Google. Google's up a ton. Google could fall off a cliff. Square, they're technically already fallen off that cliff and are sitting at the bottom trying to climb out of it. So I want to give them a little bit of time to the downside. But for calls here, guys, again, if we can get a retest of 240, really like the 242.5 calls. Those are really, really nice. You could also consider the 245s. I'd be careful on the 245s just because it is a little far out. But those 242.5s are going to be a really nice strike. And again, if we do go a little below 240, kind of losing interest, but the 240 strikes right at the money, and the money can be considered as well. But yeah, I really like Square here, guys. Other than that, not much on my list. We did have a little bit of news this morning on Zoom. Zoom and Five9 call off their multi-billion-dollar merger amid some scrutiny and shareholder voting, which apparently is a good sign for Zoom here. Not one I'm super interested in, guys, but I will cover real quick. They've been down since earnings, gap down, bleed through some serious key levels. And you can see this morning, they're right back at that 273, that big key level right here. Right back at 273. So for Zoom, if they do pop through this, they could start to move a little bit, guys. But other than that, if they can't get through the zone, even with the news, still could just be, a waste of time. But if they do get back through 273, you can start to get a little bit of accumulation. Nothing, I'm drooling over. And then just to look around the board, guys, let's see. Roku's down bad. This is a name that could start to bottom here, but I'm going to give it a little more time. Was watching Moderna into this morning where I was looking for, a wedge breakout or a breakdown, and it's pretty much already broken down. So most likely going to leave this one alone for today. AMD in the middle of nowhere. Let's see, guys. Tesla starting to get a little tight here. If it can break out of 285 today, could start a run, but also looks like a little bit of a chop fest. And then, yeah, guys, other than that, not too much on my board. So, again, guys, as always, thank you so much for joining me. If you like what you saw and heard, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, drop me a comment, thumbs up, drop a hamburger emoji, whatever makes you happy. But again, guys, we covered the indexes today. We got a big, big pivotal day. As long as we're above 4,300, we're most likely going to see sideways or a covered pop. And if we start to go back below that and we start to head negative, we can be in some serious trouble today. So keep it very simple. If we hold up, expect some upside. If we start to, struggle and roll back down and actually go negative, we could sell off all day. And again, guys, it could take 4 hours to go negative. But once we go negative, we could bleed for another 3 hours or whatever it might be. Really pay attention, guys. But we got VIX levels to watch. We got the indexes to watch. We got some Google, NVIDIA, Square setups. We got plenty today. So thanks again, guys. Go out there, kick butt, end the week strong, and happy